Real hustle, real people, real results.
Hey everyone, Chris Kiblin here over at Real Hustle. We work with real people with real results. And one of our focuses here is to really get with entrepreneurs who can share their success and give us some business ideas to help you guys grow your business and really show a little different light from each different person that we interview each week. All right. And also, if you guys could do us a favor, one of the things that we always ask is if you can help participate in going to our website, realhustle.com. Check out our podcast there. You can see the live videos. You can also check out our wonderful Real Hustle gear. We have hats. We have promotional items. We have shirts. We have hoodies. You know, that all helps contribute to bringing this show to you guys every week. All right, so let's get started with the show. One of the big things is we like to bring everybody here, really successful people, and I'm really excited about who we brought today because this is somebody who I've actually admired and looked up to because when I first started meeting this individual, and learning about his background, and it's so impressive. And so, I'm super excited to have Robert Milligan from Preferred Shores here today. Hey, Robert, how are you?
I'm good, buddy. Thanks for having me.
All right. So, like I was saying, when I first met you, and you're like a pioneer in the real estate market here in the Sarasota area. You've been here for how long now?
About 20 years as a licensed realtor. I started a few years before I was even licensed in real estate, but
wow.
Been here a little bit. Yeah,
a little bit. So let's kind of back up a little bit because, I like to start at the beginning and then work our way up. Okay.
Right.
So what got you into real estate? What was the beginning like? So when did you decide that moment that I wanted to do real estate?
Yeah, it was just kind of a natural evolution. I don't think it was like a big epiphany that this is just going to be the path. But my dad owned a property management company with a twist when I was a teenager. So, when I first got exposed into real estate, it was basically driving around illegally with my learner's permit without having an adult in the car to go meet prospective tenants to go and show properties. So I was literally 15 years old driving around meeting prospective tenants, possibly getting them to go through some paperwork for at least taking the application. So that was like the first exposure to the real estate industry, and I always did really love it. I'm an odd person. I kind of like to read a lot.
Okay.
And so I started at the A's when I was probably about 13, 14 years old. I taught myself to speed read, and I just felt like there was some sort of mystery to the universe hidden away in a book somewhere. So I just went to Barnes & Noble's one day. Like I said, about 13 years old. I got every book I could find on speed reading, which was the beginning, and I think there was 4 or 5, and I taught myself the right method that just seemed to work for me, and then I literally just started at the A's, and I'm still working my way through to the Z's. But to deconstruct the process backwards, I decided after reading a lot of biographies and lots of business books, things like that I wanted to be either in stocks and in business that way with equities, or in real estate, or some kind of combination of the two. So I got into stocks first. Actually, I got licensed as an investment advisor. I worked for a private family office, which was more of an internship. They did pay me, which I'm grateful for. But I figured out quickly to kind of transition into a mainstream financial advisory career at that age, at least, that nobody was going to be taking investment advice from a broke 18-year-old. So the next logical conclusion, I went and got my real estate license when I was 19. And I've always had a head for numbers, so immediately I kind of moved more towards the investment real estate side of the business. And so I'm still to this day, I admire a lot of great realtors in this market. I could name some, but there's some people that just have an ability to really walk through a house and talk about all the features and really instill that desire to purchase the home and envision yourself living there. And that has never been a skill set that I had any capability of doing. So for me, it was all about, cash flow, the amount of equity that you'd accumulate by, closing on it. And then, the prospects of what the discounted cash flow analysis would be from the rental income and the depreciation against all the costs and, the phantom expenses, the real expenses, all that sort of stuff. That's what I really like to go deep into. And so for me, that's, again, it was still real estate or investment related, but just transitioned more into the real estate career. And luckily, at that point, people didn't have to take my word for anything. They could vet the deals for themselves, and it didn't really matter so much what my opinion was, and then it started to click for me.
Yeah, this is one of the things that I love about doing these types of shows, right? Because the thing is like we know your name, right? A lot of people in our market and what we do know your name, but they don't know about you, and that's really like what I'm trying to bring to people is like because the thing is though, I had no idea that you were an investment advisor, right? And how that led into the real estate world, and and that's the stories that we want to hear, and so that's kind of awesome. So you started into that. You became a real estate agent. Now, did you work for your dad, or did you work for another company?
Yeah, no. So my dad's never been licensed. He had the property management company, and he's invested in real estate here and there. We ended up investing in quite a few properties together over the years. Some longer term holds, some fix and flip. Lots of different strategies. But he had never been a licensed realtor. He'd never operated a brokerage, anything along those lines. So the brokerage, really, it was just, like I said, there was never a time that the light bulb went off. And I'm like, this is it. I found my path. I'm going to be a real estate broker. It just kind of evolved. It just was a natural order of progression where as I started serving investors and finding really great deals for investors, I started to recognize that they weren't always incredibly grateful for the amazing deal that I just found for them, and so it was kind of like I almost felt like I was serving them this big, fat, juicy steak, and I wanted a piece of the steak, but instead that just get a little tip, and not only just a little tip, sometimes not even a thank you, and so I decided that at that point I'm gonna become the investor. I'm gonna start keeping some of the good deals for myself whenever I had built up enough savings to start participating in the market that way. So really where I became a broker was to essentially keep 100% of my own commissions. I started out with a local office that was run by a great family, still is. Had very amicable relations with them and still close friends with their family, but decided to go a different direction and start my own brokerage, primarily to keep 100% of my own commissions on my own deals, because I started just transacting my own business on my own behalf more and more. Gotcha. And so running a brokerage kind of just happened by default, where I started purchasing some properties. At that time, I was purchasing properties in Charlotte County, some Sarasota, but buying some rental properties and things in Charlotte County. And I had the listing agents just express as we were in our transactions how much they enjoyed working with me, and then wanting to see what could be possible about maybe working with my brokerage. And that's something I had not given any thought to whatsoever. But had a few agents join that way, and it was kind of a traditional format with the typical like 70-30 traditional split that you would see. And then just a few months after going through that whole process of getting my broker license and setting up my own shop, and there's a lot of frictional costs, a lot of stuff that you just don't really think about, but I got it all up and running, and I thought, geez, this was a pretty convoluted, complicated process. But of course, now that I'm all said and done here, I'm glad I'm keeping all my own revenue on my own transactions. But then I saw a model of another company that opened up in Tampa, what's become rather large now, which is Charles Ruttenberg Realty. And I don't know for sure, but I think that they're probably the first 100% commission model in the country, as far as I know. There may be another, but they're the first that I had seen. It was very early in that new trend of a brokerage operating structure. So when I saw that, I thought to myself, this seems like a great way that, I could add value to other agents. Obviously, if I would have had this sort of a option when I decided to get my own license, I may not have needed to get my own license. I may have been able to just affiliate with them, and this would have been a lot easier of a process. So whenever I saw that was basically how I decided to start my first brokerage, and it was something, because that operating model was so unique at the time. It was something that grew rather quickly. I think by the time I was about 26 years old, I had about 300 realtors working for me.
That's what I was just going to ask you. Yeah. How old were you when you started your first brokerage?
Yeah, I think I was I'm gonna say 22.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, that's young. I mean, to start your own brokerage at 22, right? And to just kind of be like, this is kind of crazy, but I'm gonna go out and do this on my own. Yeah. And really not knowing anything about it, right? Because I mean, it's a different model plan, and you're starting
Yeah.
your own business, and
Yeah.
you don't know what you don't know until you actually do it.
Correct.
So
Mhm.
that's pretty impressive that you started something like that. And so, okay, so all right, so you went started your own brokerage at 22. Then when did you start going? Because I know you had a big part of another brokerage, right, that you ran.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, just to give the quick little
Yeah.
Reader's Digest version of the story, because lots of ups and downs and speed bumps and everything else along the way. But so started the first brokerage at about 22 years old, and things were going incredibly well until suddenly they weren't. Whenever the market crashed in '09,
Right.
and we could kind of see the handwriting on the wall. I was holding quite a bit of rental property at the time, so that was challenging, trying to do some fancy footwork, figuring out all the real estate holdings in a steeply declining market. But then also the revenues for the actual brokerage itself just really came to a screeching halt. So I mean, at that time, I think on average we were closing about 300 to 400 deals a month. Oh, wow. And for a good 6 months after the crash, and it was literally like a faucet was shut off, where it was just game over suddenly. And for about 6 months, I don't think we had more than 2 or 3 transactions per month for like 6 months after.
Oh, wow.
And there, I mean, there was a little bit of warning and handwriting on the wall, but not. But it happened so much more quickly than anybody was really expecting. So, so there's a ton of value in that. I'm so grateful for that experience. To your follow-up question there, it was that event that was the impetus for me to merge with a larger national company, because that was a very new and very young entrepreneur. I'm a lot more seasoned now, but I wasn't as good at managing cash flow then as I was now. I had a lot of expenses. I think at my peak at the first brokerage, I think we had about 50 or 60,000 a month in just just operating expense on a monthly basis. So and then of course there was a profit in excess of that until suddenly there wasn't. And so sometimes that's when entrepreneurs who may be listening into this conversation today, I mean, as an entrepreneur, there are calculated risks, and sometimes if you believe in something, sometimes you got to go for broke. Sometimes you do go broke, and
Right.
but that's just part of the journey. So I merged with a larger national company. I was able to negotiate ownership and equity for the entire state of Florida with that brand. It all ended up working out even better than I expected to. I have a lot of respect for the people that are running that company. And what really changed for me was basically just the timing. I hit the 10-year anniversary mark with that organization, and it just felt like an even number. And then I'd also was able to negotiate a pre-existing a buyout where I could sell my ownership interest back to the parent company at any point after the 7th year, and there was a multiple of revenue associated with that. It would get a little bit better each subsequent year. So that's something I would encourage any entrepreneur to do, is just to begin any new relationship with the end in mind. And as much as you can. I think I saw it. We're on Real Hustle, but right now. But I know I love your book, Own Your Day. Ownership's important. You got to own what you're doing, and I mean, sometimes there's little stepping stones that you take to get to a position of ownership, but to me that's the ultimate goal, is whatever you're doing, make sure that you own it. So what fundamentally changed, and I think that this is the progression of where the conversation's going. So so now we're operating Preferred Shore, as you mentioned in the intro, and we're still 100% commission brokerage, but we've gone a little different direction, where my observation is that most of the 100% commission companies, they're run more like a gym membership, where any licensee is welcome, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's obviously a great time and place for a lot of agents depending on what their goals are. But I found that there just didn't seem to be a lot of good choices for agents that are a little more focused on the luxury market. Their clientele is usually a little bit more affluent than average. So we wanted to create a 100% commission brokerage that also maintained higher standards for marketing, higher standards for the associates that we're attracting to the brokerage, agents that are full-time, that their aspirational goal is at least to make about $100,000 a year or more to start. And we're not mercenary if somebody fails to hit the goal, but at least when they're coming on board, that's the goalpost that's kind of set. That we're sometimes we interview agents that they may have gotten their license recently, and they say that if I could make an extra $2,000 a month with my license, that'd be awesome. And I agree. I mean, I'm not here to diminish anybody's goals whatsoever, but just trying to qualify what's in alignment with our mission and our vision of our company. That's one way to think about how we're different.
So let's get back to where you started with Preferred Shores, because I know you were with a big company. You had what, like 300 agents there, right?
Correct. Yes.
So then you decided that it's time for you to move on and do your own thing. How did you come up with the name Preferred Shores?
That's a great question. Again, not a great epiphany there of any sort. It was just like fiddling around. So for those that know me, I've become a great delegator over time, but I'm really still at my core kind of very intensely involved in everything, and I have done every job within our organization. I've personally done everything to a large extent. So I like to have my fingers in everything. So when it comes to that, I'm somewhat handy in graphic design and web design and even video production. I know just enough of everything to be a little bit dangerous, only so that it makes it easier for me to understand the process and communicate to the team what we're trying to do. So I think that in some strange ways become part of my risk mitigation strategy in terms of hiring and managing. And I want to understand enough about what everybody's doing that I can recognize flaws in the process or help the team create better efficiencies in the process as well. But in terms of the name, honestly, just playing around on the computer with some different coastal concepts. Didn't know, it wasn't so much about the word shore or anything like that. It was really just that my belief is that for all of us in this region, and really to me, the most of the state of Florida, most of us are moving here because we're attracted to a coastal lifestyle. That's certainly my happy place.
That's what most people, right?
Yeah. So for me, being on the boat, that's our most quality family time. Entertaining. I love to wakeboard. Still, I still try to do my best without injuring or maiming myself. And but that's what we love to do. So as a brand, I felt like that a coastal theme is something that we could all rally around and share a pretty universal love of just the coastal lifestyle. Waterfront properties, of course, are something that I enjoy being around. But it's not about we don't only deal in waterfront properties. Now I'm a member at the Sarasota Yacht Club. There's a lot of Lakewood Ranch families who keep their boat there. So that's a good example that even if you're not buying a home directly on the water, on the bay, on the Gulf, you still love the beach. That's
right.
why we live here. So to me, it was just something that looked cool, that was a simple, universal idea that, I didn't think anybody would be angry about the shore.
No, and that's the thing, is like, I love it. And the thing is what you've done. And one of the things that I love about watching your stuff and watching your marketing, because it's one of those things that's like that I see that sets you guys apart from a lot of other companies, right?
Okay.
Is because of your marketing and because of what you do and how it's that professionalism that you're bringing to the table. And so talk a little bit about the marketing, because the thing is that's what I noticed. And I noticed that I think a lot of your agents, and that's what attracts a lot of your agents to come to you guys, is because of the marketing that you guys bring to the table, because I don't see a whole lot of that really much anywhere.
Well, thank you for that compliment. I appreciate that. So to me, the marketing is important on many levels. I'm a bit of a perfectionist, and so I want to have a service that I feel confident that we're providing at least equal to, if not greater than, service to the customers that are choosing to work with our associates at Preferred Shores. So that's just my desire to, as the leader of the company, always kind of keep that at the forefront. But it's really beneficial beyond that, in terms of it's really a signal. It's a signaling to attracting the right quality of agents, attracting the right caliber of customers. So, I believe that in many ways, of course, the real estate industry is going through some significant changes right now. I think that it's likely that the lower end of the market could experience more disruption from technological factors. I think that customers on the lower end of the real estate spectrum are going to be a little bit more likely to roll up their sleeves and maybe do some of their own services and things to save a little bit on the commission, and that's fine. I respect that those opportunities, especially in an easy market to sell are existing for customers, but also recognizing that more affluent customers are people who are generally willing to pay for professional services. They're people that have financial advisors. They have, advisors in many different categories, and they're not looking for bargain basement value discount propositions. They're willing and recognizing how much equity that they can keep, or additional revenue that they can add, or if it's an investment, better performance by paying a nickel more to go first class and have great service. Yeah. so that's what those are the customers that we are intending to attract and are effectively doing, but also the agents. I want agents to be attracted to our company who are proud to be affiliated with our company, who are not ashamed of maybe some of the branding or even some of the peers that are also affiliated with the company. I mean, that can happen from time to time whenever you're just hiring a bunch of agents just because they have a license,
Right.
So we're just keeping the standards just a bit higher.
I've seen some of those companies, and you can tell. I mean, there's a difference, right? So, all right, so I want to say, was it 2 years ago that you started Preferred Shores, or 3 years?
No,
How long, or is it longer than that?
In 2014.
2014?
Yeah, so we're right about, I guess, 7 years now.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it was that long.
Yeah, me
Okay.
neither. Time flies when you're having fun.
So when you started, so you're up to how many agents now? Because you've got quite a bit.
Yeah, we have about 150 agents. We're really fortunate that a lot of quality professionals are attracted to our firm. I share with our team all the time that, it's not about agent count, that, if there's nobody else to hire that meets our standards, that's perfectly fine with me. I mean, we want quality over quantity for absolute sure, but we're really fortunate that a lot of quality people have been interested to have conversations about working with us lately. So we made some really great hires, lots of talented people.
And then you've got somebody who I respect a lot too, with Olga.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
she's great with the marketing piece and bringing in that, because I watch what she's doing.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a smart move on your part for bringing her in, because she's like, I don't know, I think she's like the marketing queen.
Yeah, I would agree. I would agree she's the marketing queen, not necessarily that I deserve the credit for being the smart guy to have her in that role, but she's been an incredible asset to the company, still is, of course, and very delighted with that relationship.
Yeah.
She's doing a great job.
So let's talk a little bit about, so you gave us a little bit about it. So give me some troubling times that you've had to overcome, or give, something that you had to overcome and now is a success.
Sure,
so
yeah.
so if we can give something to the listeners, though, that way, because we all have those problems, right? We all we run into these troubles that we run into, or whatever they are, these roadblocks you want to call, and then we learn from them.
Absolutely.
So that's really what we're about on this show, is like,
Yeah.
okay, what worked for you? What didn't work for you? What, if this happened to me, how do I change it?
Yeah, I mean, it's a profound idea and question, and I have a lot of different things coming to mind. But, we touched on it a little bit. I mean, as an entrepreneur, you're going to have to take some calculated risks, and sometimes things don't work out. But I mean, at those moments, you have two choices. You can kind of just check out of the game and bury your head in the sand. You can wear your sweatpants around for weeks on end and just, wallow in your misery, or you can just keep moving on, just keep moving forward. And so, what was a really dark and difficult time for me, I'm in retrospect, to it might sound strange, but to my own credit, thinking about it, because I don't really think about it. It's kind of like I have PTSD from going broke back in the Great Recession, and so I don't really go there. I don't reflect about it too much. I don't talk about it too much. But in light of any entrepreneur who might be struggling, I mean, it's inevitable that you're going to go through some periods. You can't do better than average without doing exceptional things, and so sometimes it takes a few shots before you really get dialed in and hone your skills. But to go back to a specific time, like a dark time maybe, we were on top of the world I had offices all over the place, lots of staff, lots of agents. Things were flying around. At that point, I actually owned mortgage and title as well.
Oh, wow.
It was a pretty big operation, and to go suddenly to have, I had my plans and my ideas that obviously were not valid any longer. That was not a choice of my own. And then I think that what has helped me through that sort of a time, where whenever, for me is the most miserable topic that we can focus on and talk about, as would be you for you or anybody. When we sit here and just focus on ourselves, that's where you get yourself into trouble. And so what was really kind of lucky for me at that point was that I had these 300 realtors working for me with the market falling off a cliff. And it kind of gave me something to be more concerned about them and to figure out a good strategy to help them move forward in spite of our fiscal challenges that I suddenly found myself having. And so I was really more focused on helping others through a difficult time, which definitely took the focus off the fact that I also was financially struggling.
Right.
And then, we never were homeless or anything extreme like that, but I did go from a significant, sizable nest egg that I had accumulated to essentially broke. We still were in newer cars and not homeless or anything like that, but stressed out to the max, not knowing. I can remember a few times putting groceries on credit cards, stuff like that. I know the struggle. So that said, I think that it takes a strong belief in whatever your mission or your vision is. You have to know what that is and cultivate it, and it can change exponentially. But then also, there's definitely some supporting relationships in your life that make a really big difference. For me, my wife has been unbelievable to support me through, thick and thin.
Ups and downs, right? I know, same way.
She's always has believed in me, still believes in me. And, I think it was really valuable to test the relationship, because, a lot of times when a relationship goes through a challenging period like that financially, a lot of relationships don't last. So, so I think in the end, it was valuable to know that she really loves me for me, and luckily I was broke when we first met. So it was fine, it doesn't matter, up, down.
I know, because sometimes it's funny, is especially when I speak to entrepreneurs and people who are successful business people, most of them have hit some kind of rock bottom or hit low points.
It's
right?
really hard to not. You can't just be on a rocket ship ride straight to the top.
I know. Part of my book was about that.
Sure.
And 2014, I just went straight to the bottom.
Yeah.
I remember, and it's sort of like you. We were sitting there and we were struggling. Weren't sure if we could make our rent. We were like, we had like $20 for groceries, and so and it was just tough for us, right? But we hit that rock bottom part, and I said, I think it comes to a mindset to you, and for most people is that they almost have an epiphany, like, I can't do this anymore.
Right,
I have to change it.
Yeah.
How do I change it? How do I make this better? Because I never want to go back to that life.
Exactly.
And I sit there and I think of it like this, and that's kind of been my mindset. And and as I have these interviews and these conversations with everyone, I think that's what you get, right? You just like, I know I'm going to have my failures. I'm going to have this. Something else is going to happen. We're still going to have these, but I know in my mind I'm going to make it work.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it comes down to standards. Everybody has a minimum standard, and how much money you have in the bank is not in relation to what the standard is that you have for yourself, for your life. So it's not a new idea. I think I first heard the concept from Tony Robbins, is somebody that I like to listen to sometimes. I have no aspirations to walk on coal if
right, me neither.
I'll leave my soft little feet intact, but I'll just listen to him every now and then.
Right.
So, but in terms of standards, I think it was him that pointed out that some people, if a sudden unexpected expense, a medical bill for a family member, something along those lines happens, that some people's standard is that they are always going to pay their bill, no matter what. They're going to pay their bills, but they're struggling all the time. But then you have that unexpected expense come up, and then they somehow figure out how to scrape, borrow, beg, and then that bill gets paid. But I think what is been really beneficial for me is just trying to spend a lot of quiet time. I call it structured boredom, where even now I really don't overwork myself as busy as the real estate market's been lately. And with our operations, of course, there's a lot of complexity, but I feel like that you just need that time to get away a little bit and give a lot of conscious and intentional thought to, defining your standards, to declaring what is the mission, what's the vision that you're on, what's your unique value proposition that you're providing to people. And I see there's a lot of, especially younger entrepreneurs, and I've been totally guilty as charged when I was an early entrepreneur, but there's sometimes so much energy and enthusiasm to just do something that before you do it, you don't really take the time to figure out, before I climb this ladder, do I have it leaning against the right wall? Before I climb this mountain, is this even the right mountain to be to be trying to challenge myself with? And so I think that just thoughtfulness and awareness is important, and I try to balance it, as much as I can.
That's the hard part, right? The balance. I mean, to find a balance, especially when you're trying to run your own business and trying to make sure you succeed at it, especially when you have other people also relying on you, right? So that's the same thing. So like you sit there and you think about it, you're like, okay, well, I've got all these agents that are counting on me, all this staff that's counting on me, right?
Yeah.
But then at the same time, you got to realize I need a little bit of a balance here.
Yeah.
Because you can't. We're not like invincible, and we don't all. We have to have that time, that downtime, or we'll just basically not. What do I want to say? It's basically we just kind of like we'll lose it and then be defeated from it.
Right.
So and that's the thing. So like we got to have that kind of balance, and it's tough. It's tough in what I do, and I know it's tough in most people's business. But that's you've kind of figure that out as you go.
Well, you do, and going broke is that was really humbling, but it also led me to one of the greatest life lessons. If I were to have ever had an epiphany, it was this, and it wasn't necessarily relating to what brand to start, what to do, or whatever. But the one thing that I really felt like, and I'm sure this will help somebody in their entrepreneurial journey, is that this market cycle that pretty much wiped me out in '09 was something that was totally outside of my control. I don't feel like I made any particularly terrible decisions. As a matter of fact, I think I played defense pretty well, but it just wasn't a strong enough fortification against this crazy market cycle that affected lots and lots of people. It's not a unique story, but the thing I did declare and the epiphany I did have was that all the years that I had spent prior, which fortunately for me, it wasn't too many years. I didn't, fritter my whole life away. It was just, maybe 4 or 5 years. I was a complete and total workaholic. And, there was no weekends, there was no evenings. I was just work, making myself miserable so that someday I could do something that I hadn't even really defined what that would even be. It was just kind of ridiculous in retrospect. So the epiphany was that I decided at that point that, I'm never going to get, 22-year-old, 23-year-old, 24-year-old me back. That time's gone. And I just decided to be much more present, and also recognize that if I'm not going to make as much money by checking out at 4:30, 5 o'clock, by not working on the weekends, then so be it. I'm going to enjoy the present and enjoy life. And I know that sounds probably really cliche to say, but I think I do a pretty good job these days of really enjoying each day, enjoying the people I work with. There's nobody, I love all of our people. So when you say, like there's all these people that are relying on you or depending on you, that's a joyous thing for me, because I really love all the people that we're working with. But that for me, I think that was the greatest takeaway from that whole experience. Was I decided, I drew a line in the sand. I'm never going to be a workaholic again. If I make a nickel less because I shut it down at 5 p.m. and I don't work on the weekends so much unless something really needs attention that's urgent, then so be it. And what was funny about that, Chris, is that when I made that intentional decision, then I just started getting smarter about the way that I would structure things, because it's not like I'm the only person that can do all the things that I thought I could do. And so that's when I started to get, when my aspirations started to grow and get a little bit larger, I started to really figure out how to be more effective in delegating, and then also building a team of people that have different skill sets and just natural proclivities that are much different than my own. So it actually strengthened the operation to a point that, I'm still living a sustainable life and enjoying my life, because, you don't want to be the richest guy in the graveyard. That's not going to serve the mission. So I'm happy, I'm healthy, I'm enjoying my life, but also the organization's gotten stronger because there's other talented leaders involved now too, who have skill sets completely different than my own. So we're accomplishing more work. We're all pretty healthy and happy from best I can tell. So
that's awesome.
So that was a huge lifelong takeaway for me, because there is more to life than work and achievement and accomplishment. We've got families, we've got our own things that bring us joy, our own hobbies.
Exactly.
Yeah, lots of being fulfilled is more important than being successful sometimes.
Let's talk about growth now.
Okay.
So one of the things that I always like to hear about is, big picture.
Right.
What is I know you've already expanded to some places. I know you expanded to St. Pete. I know you expanded to Tampa.
Mm-hmm.
What are you looking to do? Are you looking to, how many offices are you looking to grow to? Are you looking to go nationwide, or?
Yeah, no, I have a little bit more of an organic approach to growth, because it's definitely quality people over whatever my idea, which may or may not be silly, is for what it should be, because it all really starts with the people. So I'm really, as a leader, I've studied leadership. I've literally read every book I could find to get my hands on leadership. So that's a topic that's endlessly interesting to me. But it all comes down to the right people, knowing how to assess the right people for the right roles. And so in terms of the growth for the company, at this point, we really have no aspirations to move outside of the state of Florida, but do want to gain market share in all of the luxury communities within Florida. So I have some relationships in Naples and Miami, Fort Lauderdale, some places like that we have a few agents in Miami, Fort Lauderdale already, but want to see just basically a good covering of the footprint in the communities with more affluent customers and luxury real estate. So we really want to just maintain the distinguished brand or perception of our brand of just primarily serving the more affluent communities. And when we're interviewing agents, not all of our agents are selling multi-million-dollar homes left and right, but from a strategic perspective on how we're creating our marketing and the brand perception and everything, is we just want to make, when our agents have opportunities to list a luxury property, we just want to make it easy for them and natural. We want it to feel very authentic based on the marketing that we've created for them to use. So if we have agents that are selling $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 houses, there's nothing wrong with that. No shame in that whatsoever. That's not what I'm saying. But that would be, I guess, the idea is that we want to cover the luxury markets pretty well within the state of Florida.
Yeah, I think the thing is like when you see your brand and see what you guys put together, and you see the videos that I see, you can tell like it's that high quality type of luxury type of, you want, the presentation is there. And I see that, and I see that from your agents, I see that from you, and it's a good match. So I definitely see that. So let's just say I gave you $1 million.
Yeah. What
would you do with it?
Not a single solitary thing.
Nothing.
Yeah.
And so you wouldn't use it for expansion? You wouldn't use it for...
I wouldn't even... I wouldn't. It wouldn't even register, like, as if anything happened, to be honest. And I don't know why. I've been especially bad at that, and it's something interesting to talk about as an entrepreneur. I feel like entrepreneurs should celebrate their successes, and I'm the absolute worst at it. So like, real estate in general is such an emotional roller coaster of ups and downs and everything else. And for whatever reason, it's just my makeup that when we're winning at a really high level, it's like it just doesn't. It's like I don't even get excited. It's just like we're
keep it going.
So I don't even know if it would probably just go straight in the bank. And then one of my hobbies that I really like buying stocks still. I mentioned that was kind of my first love and thought I'd go that direction. So I just like kind of keeping some dry powder ready for the cannon whenever there's things going on in the world that create opportunities. So that would be, I love hunting deals in the stock market and real estate. real estate is going through some cycles right now that I don't even know what's going on. Nobody really knows what's going on. I'd be very distrusting if anybody says that they do, but I think that it's just good to be ready for opportunities. So that's so it wouldn't make me excited. I wouldn't do anything different. I wouldn't buy anything silly. I just put it in the bank and forget about it and be like, oh yeah, look at this great deal, and look at these resources I have available now for this great deal.
There's nothing wrong with that. So, it's just curious. So I'm going to throw something at you that I haven't actually asked my past guests, and you tell me if you want to do this or not.
All right.
Tell me something that nobody really knows about you.
Plead the fifth. No, I'm just joking. No, there's a lot of things that people might not immediately know. So I love to surf. I love to wakeboard. I don't think maybe a lot of people don't necessarily know that. Grew up
surfer, huh?
Grew up surfing here, which Gulf Coast surf is some of the best when it's good. You have to have an incredible sense of patience for the right hurricane or cold front
to get those waves.
But so that's something that a lot of people don't know about me. I have a profound love for the water. I thought for a while when I was younger that I might be a fishing guide, and tried that for a while, and love fishing as a hobby. But after putting shrimp on people's hooks for a while, I was like, nope. Not for me.
Not for you.
What else might people not know about me? That was the question, wasn't it?
Yeah. It's
Yeah, I don't really have anything else profound coming to mind. I'm a pretty boring, predictable person, to be honest.
One of the things that actually I find exciting. So your son.
Yes.
Just competed in a bodybuilding show.
That is true, and that's something people may not know about me.
So
thanks for helping me out.
Well, because I'm actually planning on doing one. So that was one of the things. It's like, and how old is he?
He's 15, so yeah, I'm super proud of him. So, something people may not know about me, because I don't post a lot of family stuff on social media. If anybody's really interested to see what my family life's all about, that would be my wife's account. You can follow her. But yeah, so I've got 3 boys, great boys. Really proud of Preston. He he had great stage presence at 15 years old for a physique competition, just like the board shorts, bare feet.
That's what I'm doing.
Yeah, and it was all him. One thing that we try to do with our parenting style, which there's many good parenting styles, there's no right or wrong way to do it, but just try to really support and nurture whatever natural interests that the kids are going through with different phases. And so so this is all him. It's we're not like pushing him any particular direction, and he loves it. He's super sciencey about measuring every gram of protein.
You have to be
all that
do the
stuff.
show.
And
so
he's
your macros.
He's putting me to shame, because I'm not terribly out of shape, but I'm not like necessarily the picture of health either. And I feel like I need to jump on board a little bit, otherwise he could beat me up one day, or I don't know.
Yes, I know. I've been there. I got a wife that doesn't. So, all right. Anything else you want to share?
No, I think that it's just number one, a pleasure to be a part of your podcast. Thank you for the invite. Really, I'm happy to see all of your success as well. Congratulations to you on the book and getting this show launched, and all the success you've been having in the mortgage industry and coaching and everything else. So
trying to do a little bit of everything.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't feel like I really have anything anything else to add, other than maybe if people were curious to learn more about the opportunities to join our company as a realtor, the best place to learn more is to go to joinshore.com. Our office phone number, if anybody would like to reach out directly, is 941-999-1179. But yeah, other than that, I think we've had a pretty great conversation. Appreciate your time.
I appreciate it. I thank you for coming out again. I've always admired you, and I'm going to give you one other little tidbit. So when I first met you, because it was at the mastermind, right? When we started the mastermind, I think
was it? Okay.
Yeah, it was the first time I ever met you was at the mastermind.
All right.
And I was actually a little intimidated by you, because you came in and you're just very professional, and I was like, how's this guy going to be? And then once I got to know you, I was like, his thing is just completely changed,
That's
but
funny.
it's because it was just I was actually new to this business, you know, and here I am trying to get especially people like you into this group. And I was just like, I was like, you know, here I am. I'm pretty much a nobody, and nobody's pretty much here to me. And you know, we have all these big broker agents in the group, and you know, we put it together. So it's been awesome. It's been an awesome relationship, and it's been awesome knowing you and learning more about you. So thank you for coming. I appreciate it. You guys have a great thing going on over there. I wish you more success. So anybody else that wants to reach out to us, you can always see subscribe to our podcast. We're on Apple, we're on Google, we're on iHeartRadio. You can also check us out at realhustle.com, and I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. Appreciate you.
Thank you.